Well, we've got some interesting news in the loot box world. Surprise mechanics that are very ethical in the video game world and lots of fun. Did I say it right, Electronic Arts? Please run ads on my videos. I said the thing right, didn't I? Well, anyway, terrible news for fans of loot boxes like myself. Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, and more now will require loot boxes to disclose their actual drop rates. Now, make no mistake about it, people will continue to ignore that fact. However, I will say this is like about all you can expect. Let me give an example. I used to have a claw machine channel, a channel where my wife and I would play claw machines. It had over 100,000 subscribers. Then all the Walmarts around my house took their claw machines out, and we couldn't really get to arcades very often, and it was less fun, so the channel kind of just went by the wayside. However, I was actually on the Today Show. They flew me out to New York to talk about claw machine odds, where in places like New Jersey, the odds on certain claw machines actually have to be printed on the side of the machine. Now, does this really affect sales? Maybe a little bit, but I do think that, hey, if the odds are right there in front of your face and you choose to ignore them and still purchase, that's kind of like the minimum we can require. Now, of course, it won't stop game makers from making games exceedingly grindy, changing things up in order to incentivize you or disincentivize you really to play their game the normal way, and overly incentivize you to purchase loot boxes to enjoy your favorite game like Apex Legends or FIFA or any other Electronic Arts games that are great and totally don't take advantage of microtransactions in any way, even though the latest FIFA game represented a gigantic portion of the company's revenue simply from its FIFA packs. Anyway, Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony now requiring it. So if these are going to be in the game, my hope is that they are not buried deep beneath 20 screens. They should have to be front and center on the shop page. The Entertainment Software Association has said that Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft are working on new policies to require loot box odd disclosure on their systems. Entertainment Software Association Chief Counsel of Tech Policy Michael Warnicki announced the news this morning at the FTC's Inside the Games workshop on the loot box issue. Now, what this probably is a preemptive strike. They know that people are pushing back on loot boxes and people are asking questions about EA. I mean, like, that statistic, now that they're gone, that statistic is true, that the last FIFA game made more money off their microtransactions. It represented like a huge portion of EA's actual revenue, just from EA, from FIFA packs or whatever. So I'm going to guess that this will be the first of several preemptive moves to try and appease any upcoming investigation into what video game loot boxes look like. It's a step in the right direction. I assume we won't see it. They won't go far enough, probably, but we'll have to wait to see how it's implemented. These comments came after Warnicki recapped the industry's previous attempts to address loot box concerns, an in-game purchase label on retail titles, and platform-level spending controls on consoles, and EA's Origin PC storefront. Wow. He recapped these previous attempts. Okay, attempts to address loot box concerns. An in-game purchase label on retail titles, which we've started to see. Platform-level spending controls, which we've seen Rockstar engage in, as well as limits in the Origin storefront. That said, we are doing more. I'm pleased to announce this morning that Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony have indicated to the ESA a commitment to a new platform policies with respect to the use of paid loot boxes in games that are developed for their platforms. Specifically, this would apply to new games and game updates that add the loot box feature. So if you try to sneak it in, like Activision does, it still has to apply there. It would require the disclosure of the relative rarity or probabilities of obtaining randomized virtual items in the games that are available on their platforms. Now, this is a thing that we see with certain claw machines, for example, because not all claw machines have a payout rate like a lottery ticket. Some of them are fair, fixed strength, just like loot boxes. Some of them are fair and balanced. However, most people don't stay that way. Eventually, these systems get taken advantage of, and we see games themselves being developed around the simple loot box concept. As well as many of the leading video game publishers of the Entertainment Software Association have decided that they're going to implement similar approach at the publisher level to provide consumers this information and give them enhanced information to make purchase decisions. Again, I want to point out that while this is a good step, and I don't want to be one of those it's never good enough things. So positive, Jeremy, this is a move in the right direction. I think this is obviously something that the games industry knew that they were going to have to do. Whatever these old boomers sitting around in the boardroom are talking about, what's the absolute bare minimum we can do to try and take some of the pressure off. I assumed that this came up, and they probably have data that it doesn't really affect sales that much. However, as a responsible person with my money, except for with video games, Magic the Gathering, trading cards, and other collectibles, I'm pretty responsible with my money. If the odds are on there, I think that's a step in the right direction. If they're prominently displayed and not hidden behind a bunch of screens, I think that people will seek them out. And people like myself and other YouTubers, once that's publicly available, if they're ridiculous, if the drop rates are ridiculous, even if they hide them behind some sort of screen, right? You're going to get all the commentators out there covering it, talking about how absurdly ridiculous the odds are. And yes, the whales won't care, but they're never going to care. Who are we looking to save? We're looking to save the people who are genuinely going to be looking for information, to be swayed, to really understand, is this loot box a smart purchase? And I've said before, as I talk about in the Epic Game Store versus Steam and all this kind of stuff, look, if you have the disposable income and you want to buy loot boxes because you want to get some cool skins in Call of Duty, that's fine. I want to stay away from like the, ripping on people who knowingly buy loot boxes. If you knowingly buy them and you don't care, then okay, then that's fine. But I think that getting some numbers out there will be powerful for the press, for example, and then the rest of us who have more integrity than the press to cover these type of things. Apple mandated loot box odds disclosure for iOS back in 2017. Google followed suit with Google Play requirements earlier this year. The ESA has now provided more detail on the loot box disclosure, saying that the platform holders are targeting implementation by 2020. The trade group released a list of member companies that have pledged to release disclosure odds on all new video games by the end of 2020. Here's the list: Activision Blizzard, Bandai Namco Entertainment, Bethesda, Bungie, EA, Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony Interactive, Take-Two Interactive, Ubisoft, Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, and Wizards of the Coast. The interesting thing about Wizards of the Coast is they already kind of put the odds out there. We already know what are the odds of like opening a mythic rarity card in their packs, so putting it in their game is probably good. Some notable ESA member publishers who haven't made such commitment include 505 Games, Capcom, CI Games Deep Silver, Disney Interactive, Epic Games, Focus Home Interactive, Gearbox, Gung Ho, Intellivision Entertainment, Calypso, Konami, and others. THQ Nordic. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't know that they've said no. We just know they're not on the list. Now, I can't imagine Epic Games is going to be interested in disclosing that kind of thing. But since they only sell cosmetics, what do they really care? You see, I'm pleased to announce this morning that Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony have indicated ESA a commitment to new platform policies with respect to the use of paid loot boxes. This is all excellent news. I think you have to empower people with knowledge. You have to share what the actual drop rates are so people can more thoroughly enjoy their video games and enjoy just gaming in general. And then you can start getting rid of this stigma of loot boxes if you are more forthcoming. Now, of course, if games are developed with them in mind, then we're going to properly roast those video game makers. And speaking of that, big push this week for exclusivelygames.com. This is the nonprofit, apolitical game website. We've been around for 6 months. We're increasing traffic every single month. Twice a year, we raise funds to keep the lights on, pay server costs, pay our writers, pay our editor. I take nothing from the site, and I don't ever plan on taking anything from the site. I've issued a long video on how I plan to grow the site over the next 6 months and things that I did poorly and things that I can improve on. But I think that we're really delivering a lot of video game news, video game op-eds and editorials and fun lists. We have a huge gaming forum for people and a huge gaming Discord. I want you to come over and use the site regardless at exclusivelygames.com. But if it's something you want to support, there's only 5 days left at the time I'm producing this video. And I hope that you'll make today the day that you back. I'll leave a link in the pinned comment, and we'll talk to you again real soon.